Google has now fired 50 employees it said were involved in protests at company offices over a cloud computing deal with Israel. Joining us right now on that and the FTC's new ban on non-compete clauses. Alex Heath, he's the deputy editor for The Verge and author of the Command Line newsletter. Also, Joanne Lipman is here this morning at the table, lecturer at Yale University and a CNBC contributor. Good morning to both of you. Alex, I think you've woken up super early because I think you're on the West Coast this morning. So let's just talk Google. And I'm curious what you make of what's happened there, but also what you make of happening in terms of the culture in the Valley right now, going from this sort of open campus university model, say what you want, what you will, to what looks like a bigger clampdown.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit it on the head. I think Google personifies this culture shift that's happening across tech and really across corporate America, but especially in tech. With Google in particular, you've got a company where senior executives were on stage almost in tears in 2016 after Trump got elected, talking about that and the implications of that. And fast forward to this last week, you've got Sundar Pichai sending an email to all employees saying, "Hey, we don't want politics in the workplace." And this was right after they'd confirmed that they'd fired 28 employees, which for Google is unique, but also for the tech industry at large. I'm not sure we'd ever seen, especially since I've been covering tech for the last decade or so, an example of that many firings at once.
Here's the thing that I think we're all trying to understand is, when some of this began back in 16 and some of the protests in 18 and even in 20, there was and it felt like the employees were running the place, right? The inmates were running the asylum to some degree. And there was a view, I think, among management that they couldn't clamp down on this, even if they wanted to, because these engineers and their employees were so important, and that if, in fact, they actually did anything about these things, that they would have a bigger problem, that the labor market was so tight that these people would race off to other jobs. What is the sort of calculus today versus the calculus then?
I mean, I think you've seen a lot of power shift from the rank and file back to the company. And what was unusual about this protest is that it was a sit-in protest. So there were people physically impeding others and standing in the offices of the CEO of Google Cloud, for example. That is really taking things to a new level. Google is no stranger to protests, but I think they saw this as an opportunity to really put a flag down and say, look, we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. Okay, and then they ended up firing an additional 20.
So, Joanne, are you then of the view that this was just so egregious, but it's not really a cultural shift? Meaning the protests of old, which might not have actually happened literally in the physical office of the CEO of a division, those protests will be okay tomorrow, but these protests won't, or think this is a new paradigm? I
do think it's a new paradigm. We are seeing a cultural shift. I think about, it just so happened coincidentally in 2018, there was a huge walkout. It was about workplace culture. It was about sexual harassment. It was November 2018. I happened to be at the Googleplex, Google headquarters, to give a talk that day. So I was in the midst of this. And it was supported by the company. It was huge, but it was peaceful, and it almost felt like a party, right? And you have this environment versus where you are today. And I think there's a couple of major differences that have happened. One is employers have been trying to pull back ever since, the pandemic, where employees all got the power. They're trying to pull some of that back. But there are a couple of real differences. And the hugest one, I think, is that in those 2018, 2016, you had employees who were together, who were pushing together, unified against management for whatever reason. Today, you have employee against employee.
It's much more splintered.
Much more splintered, and also you have employees who are saying, "I'm feeling unsafe." And you're in an environment with Hamas and Israel, where you've got an increase in anti-Semitic incidents and anti-Muslim incidents. So it's a different environment. And the one other thing I just want to point out is, even in the last 5 years, the dialogue, the cultural national dialogue, has gotten way coarser, from everything from politics to Congress to public life to people like Elon Musk, who are now out there, who are sort of, ginning up sort of a really kind of vitriolic dialogue.
Alex, I want to talk about this FTC decision and how it's going to change things. California, by the way, has always been a state, or at least more recently has been a state, where these non-competes are not always enforceable. Is this going to change the dynamic there? Or are we just talking about a different kind of worker. $150,000 seems to be the threshold for preventing non-competes in the future, but you do have to have some kind of policy-oriented role that could be potentially a little fuzzy and fungible.
You know, Andrew, I haven't really seen a ton of high-profile examples of tech companies enforcing these non-competes. You've seen Amazon do it selectively. There was an example with, I believe, an executive who went to Google Cloud in the last few years, where they tried to enforce a non-compete because he was coming from Seattle. But yeah, you're right. California hasn't had this. The California tech industry is the best tech industry and one of the best industries in the world. I haven't met anyone who likes a non-compete who isn't the one who's enforced it. So I think this is generally good. There's been a kind of chilling effect generally. But as it relates specifically to tech, I haven't seen a ton of examples of this actually being forced. I think it's more that kind of unspoken chilling effect.
Joanne, we got to go, so we only got 20 seconds. A good thing or a bad thing long-term for labor?
Oh, very much a good thing.
And if you were a CEO, you go to court over this or no?
I think they will go to court over this. I don't know that they'll win. I think the question is, does the FTC actually have the mandate? Do they have the power to put this into place? And I don't, we'll see how it plays out.